So you want to know who really runs the country? Well, spoiler alert, in a lot of places, it all starts with you, and me, and your neighbor who really loves lawn gnomes. This whole gigantic, complicated thing we call government often kicks off with a process called an election. Think of it as a massive nationwide job interview, where the citizens are the hiring committee. We get to decide who represents our interests, our hopes, and our desire for better roads, and more funding for schools. This isn't just a one-time event either. It happens at different levels, creating layers of governance that are supposed to work together, though sometimes they squabble like siblings. It's a beautiful, messy, and fundamentally human process. The biggest and most talked about elections are usually the national ones. These are the blockbuster events that determine who will lead the entire country. But don't forget the other contests. You also have regional elections, which might be for a state, a province, or a territory. These representatives handle issues that are more specific to your corner of the world, like managing local parks or overseeing regional transportation. And then, you have the most grassroots level of all, local elections. These are for your city council, your mayor, or your school board. The people who decide if that new stop sign goes up on your street or how your local library is run. Each level matters, from the grand national stage to your very own neighborhood. Now, on election day, citizens head to polling places, schools, community centers, maybe even a converted garage, to cast their votes. This act is the bedrock of democracy. You step into a booth, you look at a list of names. After the polls close and the last ballot is cast, the next phase begins, the great count-up. All those individual choices are gathered and tallied. In the old days, manual counting. Today, tech speeds things up, but the goal stays the same. Figure out who won. What we're really counting are seats. Imagine the legislature as a giant auditorium with a fixed number of chairs. Each election is a competition to fill the most seats. A political party is a team with shared ideas. The magic number, majority. Majority means more than half. Parliament of Awesome Town, 545 seats, more than half needed for majority. Half of 545 is 272.5. You can't have half a person, so you need at least 273. If Wombat wins 280 seats, they have a clear majority. They can form the government on their own. If no one gets the number, Wombat 250 seats, Narwhal 180 seats, smaller parties the rest, no majority. A hung parliament. Parties must negotiate. Wombat leader makes phone calls to other leaders. They may form a coalition, a super team of parties. Once a party or a coalition has secured a majority, the next big step is to officially choose the leader who will run the show. This person is the head of government, the captain of the ship. The title they get depends on the system of government. In a parliamentary system, like in India or the United Kingdom, this leader is usually called the Prime Minister. Typically, the person who was already the leader of the winning party automatically steps into this role. So if the Wombat Party won the election, their pre-chosen leader becomes the Prime Minister of Awesome Town. The monarch or president, who is a separate head of state, then formally invites them to form a government. In a presidential system like the one in the United States, the process is a bit different. Citizens often vote more directly for the person they want to be president. While they are still voting for a party's candidate, the focus is very much on the individual leader. The winner of the presidential election becomes both the head of government and the head of state. They don't need to be a sitting member of the legislature, a key difference from parliamentary systems. So, a president is directly chosen to be the boss, whereas a prime minister becomes the boss because their party won the most seats in the legislature. But no leader, whether a president or a prime minister, can run a country alone. That would be impossible. They need a team, a cabinet of ministers to help them. The head of government gets to choose these ministers. Each minister is put in charge of a specific government department, or ministry. You'll have a finance minister to manage the economy, a health minister to oversee healthcare, a defense minister to run the military, and so on. Now, while we've been talking a lot about elections and majorities, it's important to remember that not all countries follow this script. The world is full of different systems of government, each with its own history and rules. Parliamentary systems and presidential systems are the two most common forms of democracy today. The UK is the classic example of a parliamentary monarchy, a king, a queen, but the real political power lies with the elected Prime Minister, and Parliament. India, the world's largest democracy, is a parliamentary republic, with a president as the ceremonial head of state and a Prime Minister holding the executive power. The United States, on the other hand, is the textbook presidential republic. The president is elected to lead the executive branch, which is distinctly separate from the legislative branch, Congress. This separation of powers is designed to prevent any one part of the government from becoming too powerful. The president can propose laws, but Congress has to pass them. Congress can pass laws, but the president can veto them. It's a system of checks and balances that forces cooperation and sometimes creates political gridlock. So, to wrap it all up in the simplest terms, for many of us, it starts with a vote. Citizens elect representatives. The party or group that wins the most seats, a majority, gets to form the government. The leader of that winning group becomes the head of government, a prime minister, a president. That leader then picks a team of ministers to help run the country's various departments. It's a complex, fascinating, and deeply important process that shapes all of our lives.